Hi, Courtney with Renewal Logistics. I'm here today to talk about some information I think will be valuable to people who are looking to bring on a new 3PL partner. I am going to share with you today 3 things to consider when choosing a 3PL, and I'm sharing these because I think a lot of companies, when they are first trying to figure out what that partnership should look like, they have a hard time knowing where to start. And even if you already have a partnership and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do next because that partnership's not working, again, not knowing where to start. So we're going to go through a few things that I think are probably the most critical, and hopefully you'll find these helpful. First of all, I think it's really important to establish clear outsourcing objectives. So a lot of companies will say we really need a new 3PL. Why do you need a new 3PL? Is it because you've had service failures? Is it because you need to be able to scale at a faster rate than you have been so far? Is it because of pricing? A lot of companies will say, I want to be able to outsource to a 3PL because I think it's going to be less expensive. Well, it is possibly less expensive, but you also have to understand that it may not be less expensive. For instance, you have to think about it. A 3PL is going to have to be able to make money to survive as a company. Every business has to make money. So there's going to have to be profitability built in on top of their normal cost. And so for you, if you do it at cost, your cost is going to be less than a 3PL who is doing it at cost plus a profit. So, if you're not operating extremely efficiently in your own operation, then maybe you're going to see a cost savings. Much more likely, what you're actually going to see is an improvement in flexibility and an improvement in scalability. So you're probably going to see the ability to add more space when you need it without having to actually go out and find a new warehouse and hire a bunch of people and put in a WMS. So, the flexibility of being able to add space as needed and also go back on space when needed. Maybe you have a peak season and then the rest of the year you're actually not moving quite as much product and you don't need as much product in storage. So that's one thing. The second thing is being able to do less with more. So if you don't want to go out and hire a whole bunch of new people and you want a company that's going to be able to help you with understanding how to work with wholesale accounts like shipping to Target, shipping to Home Depot, shipping to grocery store chains, shipping to apparel companies like Macy's or Kohl's or Dillards, you want to have vendors who have been there before and done that and can walk you through that process. And so maybe there's enhanced flexibility, maybe there's enhanced knowledge that you're being able to gain from the partnership. So number one, truly understanding what your objectives are when it comes to outsourcing. Number two is which 3PL should you actually approach? I have seen this a lot of times where you have companies who have either never hired a 3PL before and they are going after some of the largest 3PLs that are out there. If you're a brand new company, there are 3PLs that work with brand new companies. If you are a mid-market company, there are 3PLs that are going to specialize in the mid-market. And then if you're a global brand, there are going to be 3PLs that specialize in the global brands. And the difference is all scalability. So as a small business owner and a small brand, you need someone who has a lot of hand-holding ability. If you are the smallest company that is working with one of the largest global 3PLs, you're not going to get a lot of attention because, the numbers just don't support that company providing that much energy and time and effort into your account. Where on the other hand, if you're a company and you provide a lot of outsourced options, like if you're a 3PL and you provide a lot of outsourced options to smaller companies, like maybe you outsource COO services as well as the 3PL services. Maybe you have a procurement department where you can help companies design products and design packaging. Maybe you even outsource and you provide CFO outsourced services to a 3PL so that they can have a whole suite of services all within your company. Other larger companies are not going to be able to take advantage of the resources that you're providing. And so you want to make sure that the companies that you are reaching out to have the right resources for where you are today. And it's also important to understand as a small company, a lot of 3PLs are not going to get economies from scale from working with you, and so you are probably going to pay a higher price than if you were a large or a mid-market company. Same when it goes to mid-market, you're really looking for partners who understand wholesale channels, understand omni-channel fulfillment, understand all of the different aspects of a full operation and how are you going to make sure that all of those deadlines for shipping product are always met. And then as a global brand, you're really looking for people who have the ability to manage huge volumes at a time and flex kind of on a dime. So you may have one day where Amazon is asking for 100,000 units that are going to go in for FBA prep. Well, you know, some companies that's going to overwhelm them and they're not going to be able to hit your service levels. So just truly understanding what type of a partnership you're looking for, number one, and number two, once you have those ideas of what that partnership looks like, number two is how do you find the right vendor that's going to be able to support you where you are today? And over time, you may actually have to change vendors. You may have to go from a small 3PL to a medium-sized 3PL to a large 3PL, and that's fine. And maybe if you find the right engaged partner, they will be able to help you kind of go through that cycle and you can stay with them. But that's, you know, a lot of times you are going to have to change 3PLs over time. And then the third thing that is often overlooked is really being engaged in the implementation and planning for implementation. So you've gone through the process, you know what your goals are, you know which vendor you want to go after, you know basically who you want to be working with. It doesn't end once that contract is signed. That's when the actual relationship starts. And so you want someone who is very results oriented and is going to be able to help and understand that that's the beginning of the relationship with you. It's not the end of the relationship. And so what does that next piece look like? And so implementation planning on both sides is really important. The 3PL vendor that is the best vendor or, you know, that is the right vendor for you is going to be able to walk you through that process. Explain to you what it's going to look like on the onboarding side. What does the IT part look like? What is the procurement of resources to be able to store your product look like? How long is this all going to take? Do you need a dedicated space or do you need to be a part of a public warehouse? All of these things are important, and then once you have that information, really being able to craft what your strategy is going to be to get that product in the building, get it received, and then get it to where it's available to be shipped out to clients is the most important thing, and that's the place where a lot of companies will pass or fail. Last thing I would say is that in this process of looking for different vendor relationships, you really want to think about the fact that you're going to kiss a lot of frogs. And so you're going to reach out to a lot of different companies. If you want to actually have options at the end to choose from, make sure that you're working backward and you're picking enough people in the beginning to have that pipeline to where as you start disqualifying people, you do end up with more than just one person or one company that's available at the end in terms of a qualified partner for you to choose from. So I hope you like these tips. I hope they were helpful. And of course, if there's anything that I can ever do for you, just give me a shout. Thank you. Bye.